In February 2013, I was hungry. I had been traveling all day, finally returned home to Seattle, and met up with my boyfriend. We were going out for dinner, and I looked up on Yelp the best Ethiopian restaurant I could find. Our favorite one had closed, and so I found this like 4.5 star, excellent Ethiopian restaurant, yay, and we find ourselves sitting down in a mostly empty restaurant. And then my food is kind of this really mediocre Ethiopian food, but I'm starving. I haven't had anything since like breakfast, and it's 7 o'clock at night. And so I'm tucking into this plate of Ethiopian food, a vegetarian platter, and I look around the room. The restaurant, it's empty except for one table with a small family and this toddler who is not interested in eating any food, thank you. He is running concentric circles around the restaurant. 12 hours later or so, I'm at brunch with friends. We wrap up, and I'm feeling this pain in my stomach. And after brunch, it gets worse and worse, and it feels strangely familiar. And I experience the sensation of my stomach being shredded from the inside. We go to urgent care, and by the time we get to urgent care and start lab tests, they're just like, you need to go to the ER. I'm starting to bleed internally, and I am in screaming pain. So we get to the ER, and it wouldn't be for a few days that we would realize why this feeling was so familiar to me. It was confirmed that I had E. coli, food poisoning. And it was familiar because 20 years to the month, I had been in the Jack in the Box E. coli outbreak that had sickened over 700 people across the United States, including my mother and my 5-year-old brother. And 5-year-old little boys are not good at hand washing, so I got a secondary case. And I think in response to seeing that suffering, that scariness as a 13-year-old kid who was kind of geeky, I spent every time that my teachers were like, you can write a report on whatever you want to research. I was like, excellent, I'm writing about fecal coliform bacteria, slaughterhouses, food handling. And I think it was to try to make me feel a little bit safer or in control, or like there were solutions out there. And fast forward back to the E. coli outbreak in 2013 that I was in, I would find out that the restaurant that sickened me had failed 5 out of 6 restaurant inspections. It didn't have posted scores like you have in LA or San Francisco, because the county I was in, King County surrounding Seattle, didn't do that. And even if I had tried to find the restaurant inspection score, the website was so outdated and cumbersome, you wouldn't have found the inspection information. So I experienced during the outbreak, or during having E. coli, kind of going back and forth between home and the ER. And my doctor calls me up at one point, and she says to me, Sara, you need to go to the ER immediately. I think your symptoms are toxic megacolon, and it could kill you within 24 hours. You need treatment immediately. And I have 2 thoughts. One, that is an amazing band name, toxic megacolon. And 2, I am filled with a sense of outrage, because this has happened to me again, and is threatening my life. Someone's carelessness has threatened my life again, and is probably actively threatening others. And long story short, I survive. I'm still here today. I suffer long-term kind of consequences from it, but I survive, and I count myself lucky. And as I'm healing up, news breaks, woman in Jack in the Box outbreak gets E. coli for the 2nd time. And I realize that my story is powerful, that my experience is powerful. And I realize that because my professional background is in open government, it's in civic engagement. I spent a lot of time and effort training other people, regardless of their issue or cause, how to effectively advocate. So I didn't really advocate for anything other than you should get involved. You have capacity to make changes in our laws and society. And I realized I had to take the own lessons I was giving to people and apply it for myself. But it required a decision, because my experience, my suffering, would become my identity in storytelling. Not that I wanted it to, but already I was the woman who got E. coli twice. I was not Sara Schacht, like open government nonprofit person. I was not civic tech advisor. I was not any of these things that I'd built up over my career. But I realized that rage turned to resolve, that this was something I had to own and had to do. Because I knew if there were posted scores, we would reduce, like other cities had reduced foodborne illness by 30%, and I wanted the same thing for my county. I wanted it to be safer because I could not stomach, and sorry for that pun, the idea of this happening as often as it does. So I started engaging King County, and I was like, hey, you guys know me, you come to my conferences, we do stuff like you like me, let's have coffee and talk about how we can improve your restaurant inspection scores. And they were like, talk to the risk management lawyer. And I was shocked. Months went by of me trying to get them to engage. And what happened was they wouldn't. So I launched a change.org petition. I ended up getting 2,000 signatures and engaged the media and pivoted so the story wasn't my suffering, it was on solutions. And as I did that, the storyline of my quotes went from being, just aired, I got diarrhea. That's what they wanted to quote me on, to here's how we solve this problem so fewer of us get sick in King County. And I didn't realize at the time that that when King County finally said, yes, we're gonna post restaurant inspection scores, we're gonna improve our website, we're gonna post scores in Yelp as well. I didn't realize it would be 4 years of showing up to board meetings, to showing up to uncomfortable restaurant stakeholder meetings where I'm the only citizen and a power restaurant lobby really doesn't like me. And I show up again and again and again. And I'm proud to say that in January of this year, King County launched restaurant inspection scores. It's not perfect. It still needs work, which means I am still engaging. But I think back to that toddler circling the restaurant who just happened to not want to eat that night, and how kids like him, kids like my brother, high-risk populations for foodborne illness, 1 out of 6 Americans, our lives should not be left up to chance. And so I hope that, I don't know, we're all eating safer a little bit, or at least in King County. So that's my story. Thanks.